Hello and welcome to I Am Not Your Tour Guide, but I am your host, Starla Skelton, on this beautiful Sunday in April. It is Easter Sunday if you celebrate Easter. If not, happy Sunday. And today we have a even more beautiful couple with us that not only share an inspiring love story for each other, but also for the world of travel. So I would like to welcome to the show Mike and Natalie. Hey, guys.
Hey. We're so happy to be here.
We'll just do a repeat of, hey, how are you? You guys look great.
You look awesome.
Well, you know, I try, but you really do look great. And I feel like it's been, and I'm not even exaggerating, when is the last time we've seen each other in person? 10 years? More? Longer?
It's probably been 10 because we just celebrated our 12-year anniversary, 12-year dating anniversary. Yeah. And we met
So, I don't know, before we left, I guess?
Yeah, so probably like 10 years. Yeah.
So 2015.
2015.
Yeah.
So just for background for anybody listening, I met Mike first, right? At Front Page News, whenever you were my manager telling me what to do. But you were so chill. I was like, this guy's great. Like, he needs a manager forever. And then you started working there pretty shortly after, right, Natalie?
Yeah. I think it was a few months after you. Yeah.
And then that's where you met officially. Like, I mean, was that the birthplace of your love story, Front Page News?
Yes. It was the birthplace.
So that was in Atlanta, Georgia. And so where are you guys at now?
Colorado Springs,
Colorado. I've been there one time, and like getting off the plane, my jaw dropped. It's so gorgeous. You know, how did you guys find that place?
It was actually after one of our other trips that we took. We were getting ready to come back to America, and we were like, well, you know, we got to find like some place to live. So we actually picked Colorado Springs. Never been here, never saw it before, and we're like, okay, we're gonna move there.
Way.
Yeah. So like when we got back, you know, like said hi to the family, rented an Airbnb for a week, and flew out here and found a place.
Wow.
Pretty much, you know, we didn't have jobs, we didn't have anything, so we were like, well, we don't have jobs, but we have all this cash we can give you up front. And
yeah, finding a place when you have no job.
We're not destitute. Yeah.
We had been to Colorado before, just not Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
So we had seen Colorado and we really loved it. We wanted to be by the mountains.
Yes.
And so that was kind of like the goal, was mountain life.
So neither one of you had seen it. You both go there and you're both like, you agree, like, yeah, this is it. This is the spot.
Yes.
It was instant. Yeah. As soon as we got here.
I love that you guys are in Colorado Springs, living your best life. And I can't wait to have a chat with you guys on the podcast here today, because I followed your trip years ago on social media. Just, you know, the basic highlights that, you know, you let us into your life via the social media posts. And so that's all I know. I'm so pumped to hear today about, you know, just some more details, you know, about where you went and maybe some of the highlights of your trip. So just give me a quick kind of geographic outline of where you guys traveled and for how long, because I know it was like at least a year, right?
The first time was about a year.
Okay.
In like South and Central America. And then the second time was probably more like 9 months ish. In like Europe, and we did go back to South America for a month stint as well. But yeah, Europe, and we actually did a cross country trip here in America too, and that was about 9 months.
So the first time was a year, and then how long was your break in between until you did the 9-month traveling?
It was like 2.5 years.
2.5 years, yeah.
Okay. Man, so you loved it so much the first time. Like during that break period, were you guys just planning like, hey, we just need to go somewhere else again? Like, was that your goal, just to keep traveling?
Pretty quickly on. So like whenever we came, so that first trip we went to Peru, Colombia, Panama, and Costa Rica. So those are the 5 countries we went to. And then whenever we came back, we lived in like this paradise because we were living in St. Pete, Florida. It's basically like living in a vacation town. And we loved it there, but I do think like we were always thinking, where are we going to go next? And then we just got to this point where we were like, okay, we have to.
Yeah.
It was just time to do something different.
And we did get like an offer we couldn't refuse. So what kind of like kicked off that second trip was like, we had an opportunity to live in Italy with this chef and teach cooking classes and live on a farm in the Italian countryside. So it's like, okay, well, we're not going to say no to this.
Right.
Um,
Right.
yeah.
Was that, not to get ahead of myself, but was that hard to pull yourself away from at the end?
Yeah, for sure.
Man, oh, that's incredible. And this was, how long ago was your first trip, your first year-long trip out of the country?
2015 to 16.
All right. And so I have a question, whenever you guys left for this trip, was this your first time out of the country together?
Yes. No.
Costa
Okay.
Rica.
Costa Rica. Okay.
Yeah, so I think it was probably 2 years before, 1.5 to 2 years before we went to Costa Rica for like a 10-day trip. That was the first time we'd ever been. We went to Puerto Viejo, which is actually interesting because we actually ended it was 10 months exactly, the trip through South America. We ended our trip in Puerto Viejo. We went back to the States. So it was kind of a cool way to close it out.
Oh, I love Puerto Viejo. I love Costa Rica in general as a whole. Yeah. What a country.
It's amazing.
So great.
Yeah.
A lot of people travel the world to fall in love with the world, the places, the smells, the food, meeting other people. It's just part of the whole travel experience, right? And the feeling that it gifts us when we stand and take in the feeling of something new. But you two also fell, let's just say, I'm not saying you didn't love each other before, but, I feel like you guys fell more in love with each other because you do have a very special love story. And you've been able to share in so many travel experiences together, while growing, I guess, your love story. So I do want to start by asking, whose idea, or was it both of yours, but specifically, whose idea was it to kind of say, hey, let's just kind of give up everything we have and start traveling, just you and me, let's leave home, let's do this?
I would say it was more her, Natalie first, and then, I'm easy, I guess. It was not hard to convince me. To do that.
I would say it was definitely my idea. It was always something I wanted to do, was just to see, I had born and raised in Atlanta, always wanted to see something different, see more. I knew there was more to experience. And so I actually remember having the conversation at Tijuana Garage at the bar one night. And so basically just being like, hey, we were having a couple drinks and I was like, this is something that I really want to do. I want to go travel and just go do it for a little while. Are you down? Do you want to do it with me? Basically. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And so that was kind of the conversation. And then after that, it was kind of the whole, how are we going to do this? How much money do we need to save? We bought tickets. It was pretty easy, to make the decision.
Yeah.
It wasn't, we were both very much on the same page, but it was kind of okay, how this?
See, let me tell you why I love this story, because as a former bartender for, 25 years, I don't even remember if I have to add it up. Let's just say 20 years. I'd say 98.9% of conversations that happen at the bar are total BS, right? It's just you'll start that conversation. Yeah, you want to talk about all the places you're going to go and all the things you're going to do. And then that happens over beers. So many people don't follow through though, right? And they don't do it. It's just kind of like bar talk. That's what I call it. It's that bar energy. It's you got a beer and let's go travel the world. Woo! But no, you guys were like, no, we're going to do this. So yeah. And so how long after you had that conversation did you actually go?
I don't even remember. Time is kind of a blur.
Yeah.
It was probably months, 6 months, would you say?
Less
than
probably
that?
Yeah. Less than 6 months?
I really don't remember.
Did you guys give your family a heads up?
Yeah, we told them.
This sounds amazing, or were they don't leave me?
I think both our families are very conservative. So they're just kind of okay, what are you going to do for jobs? Afterward,
right.
Kind of thing. How are you going to eat? Where are you going to live? They weren't thinking about the journey part. They don't think like that.
That is a great question, though. How are you going to eat? Where are you going to live? The money part of it, did you also work while you were traveling, or you just saved?
We just saved. There was a few places where we stayed where we didn't have to say pay for room and board. So we got some free rooms here and there, some free food here and there, but we didn't actually like make any money.
Okay.
So it was just saving. So it was like, we had X dollars, and like when we hit this number, like we have to go home.
Yeah.
Kind of thing there.
Okay. And so were you pretty conservative with it, like as you were traveling, like aware of that budget?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, it defined the way we traveled.
Yes.
For sure.
It probably drove Natalie nuts because, like in South America, you're like, oh, you're walking around looking for your umwares, and like, oh, this place is like $2, and like, oh, but this place is $2.25, and you get like an ensalada with it, kind of thing. So like, we're literally like walking around for like an extra hour, to save like that 22 cents.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, or like, like rooms, like, I mean, we probably, we always did stay in like a private room, right? We never shared like a dorm with anyone. I don't think we paid more than, I mean, the most we paid was in
like
$25 for
but
a
that
night.
Was like a high.
That was on like the high end there.
Yeah.
So.
But we would get to a new town and just like, as soon as we got there, we would probably spend an hour walking around and just go into every little place we saw. And even if it was like a $2 difference,
and
it was a way, nowhere near as nice as like the one that was $2 more, we would stay in it. Because you're really counting, I mean, yeah, you're counting pennies or colones or
whatever the currency is at the moment. Okay, well, I mean, but by doing that, it's kind of like that's your job, right? And able to enjoy and partake in that trip, you had to say, hey, let's see how far we can stretch this. And I guess you could have, lived like a baller for a couple weeks if you wanted to, but you guys stretched it out for 10 months the first time. I mean, that's incredible. And so I think that's a lot of times people are like, how did you travel for that long? I get that question. That's a totally legit question, especially if you have car payments, house payments, boat payment. I mean, it is. I mean, it's not possible for everybody, but I'm just assuming you guys had it set up to where you didn't have a house payment or you didn't have a car payment.
Right. Yeah. So we've always rented. And then we had one car between the two of us. So we shared it for we still have one car that we share between the two of us. And we paid it off right where we left. So we had nothing to pay for. We were a little bit younger, so we didn't, we took the risk of not having like travel insurance or health insurance for all the time, which, so we really had like no expenses.
Yeah.
And so that kind of enabled you to embark on this magical journey. Just kind of walk me through, where did you start? What was kind of your, trail? Was it kind of on the tourist path, which is nothing wrong with that. I love the tourist path sometime. Or was it kind of off the beaten? Or just kind of walk me through this adventure that you took.
I wouldn't say it's completely off the beaten path. I mean, you go places where people say it's cool and things like that. So, like you kind of follow what other people say. I mean, we actually didn't plan anything. Like when we left, we literally bought 2 one-way tickets to Lima, Peru, and we booked a hostel for the first 2 nights. That was our only planning.
Yeah, the only thing.
The only thing we planned out. So we had, figured it out. I mean, almost day by day. If we stayed in the place for a week, then, I guess we planned like a week ahead.
Yeah.
If we got a room for a week in a place, if we liked it there. But, I mean, then you'd spend the week like, seeing the sites in the area, talking to people like, sometimes you end up staying longer. Sometimes they like point you in a different direction.
For me, going into it, I had this expectation to a certain extent to like we were going to go see like every country in South America. And then we get there and you just like get to a place and you want to stay and you want to like learn it and see it. So we ended up, it was 5 countries total, but like every country that we were in, we were there for 2 months, except Colombia. We were there for 4 because we love Colombia. But I think that's what made it really special was we just being able to get somewhere and then realizing like, we don't have to leave and it doesn't matter when we leave and we can stay as long as we want. But that was something I really appreciated. It was just like,
I mean, I guess like as far off the beaten path, we stayed on the path. We just took it a lot slower. Like, a lot of people, they'll go and like, oh, we got to go here and here and here and here and here. That's not how you get to know something. We get some like, okay, we'll just stay here for a week.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just stay here for a couple weeks or like, a couple places like, all right, well, let's just find a place for a month.
Yeah.
Rented a place.
And that's a really cheap way to get a room.
Yeah, which was really interesting because we'd have to we would get to a place that we really liked. We did it twice where we'd stay like a whole month in one place. And it was literally because you don't look online, at least in 2015, you don't look online for a place to rent. We would just walk around and like go to tiendas or whatever and just ask people like, do you know anyone that has a place to rent? And everyone knows someone who has a place to rent.
Yeah.
So we would just find the cheapest place, and we ended up finding some really amazing little spots to stay.
Do either one of you speak Spanish? I forgot.
Yeah, I do.
All right. So
I've gotten rusty over time, but yeah, for sure. But everyone thought he spoke
Yeah.
Spanish because he has more.
Everyone thought I was a loco, so they would walk up to me and just start rattling off words. I'm just like, okay, and like she'll like stomp over like like what do you want? Like like I'm just sitting here like.
So what are the 5 countries that you guys ended up spending the time in?
Okay, so Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, Panama, and Costa Rica. Costa Rica was only like 2 weeks. That was like the last 2 weeks, but Panama was probably
like
2 months.
Yeah.
We there was like we were getting close to the end of our money, so we found this volunteer opportunity where we were living Mangrove Island, 12 monkeys for I think it was 2 months.
Yeah,
it was a very surreal, crazy experience. But yeah, before we went to South America, I like really, really wanted to spend some quality time with geese, and so that was like a goal, and we did it. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, when you say quality time with monkeys, I mean, what are we talking about here? What does quality time entail?
We have to like fight monkeys off our breakfast every day. Like, monkeys are cute and like everyone, like, oh, let's go visit, like go hang out with the monkeys. I'm climbing here. Like, no, like these are the worst roommates on earth.
Oh, it was
terrible. They just want to steal everything you have and then throw it in the ocean. They don't like it when you yell at them, for stealing things. They always want your food, things like that. I mean, it's
for real. My brother and I have both been attacked by monkeys, in some of our journeys, and I'm just like, man, these little bitches, like they're very entitled. Okay, monkeys are entitled. Yes. I said it. Okay?
Yeah.
But that was one of your goals. But did you have fun spending that time with the monkey?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it was, for sure. It was very challenging. Like, it was definitely for me a lot more challenging. There was a monkey, Tootie, that fell in love with Mike. Like, she was legit in love with him. And she hated me because they're so intelligent. I mean, she knew that I was like his person. And so she actually bit me one time because she was just like mad that I came into her cage. And she's a capuchin. So the capuchins are the ones that look like humans. Like, they're kind of scary. But yeah, I mean, it was the sweetest thing. Like the last, I mean, it was like a special kind of love that I've never seen. I mean,
I did have a monkey girlfriend.
Yeah, you really did. But it was challenging because also, we're living on this mangrove island. There's no land. So it's just like a few little huts that people would come to stay on. And this French Canadian lady, she had just like rescued one monkey. And then people just started bringing her monkeys like from these nearby islands around the area. So there's nothing to do the entire day. And we would just go to land like once a week or once
maybe like we
get
food or like pick up like tourists some of the guests and we're like oh, you're going to land? Like, I'm going. Like literally I don't. So it's in the Boca del Toro part of Panama, so like 5 foot deep water, 6 foot deep water for like miles. And it's so nice and calm. I mean, it's gorgeous, but nothing to do but make sure monkeys don't take advantage of you too much. Basically.
So, Mike, did you have any goals while y'all were traveling? Like anything you just had to see?
I mean, nothing that we had to see. There was always like big, we went and saw Machu Picchu, spent a lot of time on a lot of beaches. That was a big goal. I think those were the biggest goal, was just honestly like relax and see where you go. I mean, I know it's honestly my goals were probably more like day to day, like what am I going to eat today? What delicious thing am I going to eat today? And then, maybe we'll see what happens tomorrow. Kind of thing. They're really
very laid back guy.
Would you say, because you mentioned earlier about how much you loved Colombia, would you say Colombia was like the highlight of your trip?
It's definitely one of them. We met some really amazing people. Yeah. We have like a Colombian family that we met there that we still keep in touch with, that we had some really special experiences with, like really getting a feel for the culture. But yeah, say so. I mean,
Yeah.
that was the longest place we stayed, and we had so many incredible experiences. The nature's beautiful. The people are amazing. The food was the best in Colombia, for sure.
Out of all those
Flavor.
countries, Colombia, we probably had the best.
Yeah. Is there any spots where if somebody's just kind of like thinking, hey, you know, I do want to do some traveling, do you have any recommendations for like go-to spots?
In Colombia or like?
All over. Yeah, that you just like, you still think about to this day. Like, man, that place was awesome.
I would say a cool place would be in Colombia, there's this town called like Salento. It's in the Valle de Cocora, and like they have the world's tallest palm trees.
Wow. Like how tall are we talking?
It's just like a couple 100 feet tall.
Yeah, they're massive.
I mean, it's just like lush mountain farmland, and then like a bunch of like 200-foot palm trees. It's kind of crazy looking. That would be one place on my list.
Paracas in Peru was really amazing, just because, I mean, we just had some really incredible experiences because like we rented bikes there, which were super crappy. So we just took an adventure the entire day, and like it's basically where the desert meets the ocean.
Okay, there's no trees there.
So we just like rode through the desert for hours, and it was exhausting. But yeah, we ended up on this like beautiful beach where it met the desert, and it was just like incredible.
And your bikes, you said your bikes were crappy.
Yeah, well, you know, if you ever rent a bike, like make sure they have like air in the tires before you like go off with
Check the brakes,
things like that. Make sure they pedal. So that was a big mistake on our part. We learned that like make sure you're renting like something usable.
Yeah, that's like one of the times you might not want to be budget all the way.
Cough up and spend the $8.
Right.
That's a nice place.
Which we did not do.
Yeah, because there is a big difference between a $250 rental and an $8 rental. There really is.
Yes. Yeah.
So true.
I would say like another cool thing, like, you know, a lot of people when you go to Machu Picchu, they'll take like the train or something there. So like we didn't. So we took like, you know, a bunch of like questionable buses, and they drop you off at this electric plant like Hydroelectrica, and you can walk along the train tracks to Machu Picchu, like through the valley there, and you end up at that what is that, Aguascalientes, the little town like right below. That was a really cool hike there.
Is that something that if you're like, what kind of shape do you have to be in? Decent, good?
That's flat. It's that one's flat because it's right along the train tracks, you know, but it's still like in the valley, and there's like waterfalls like, you know, the tops of mountains, and it's like jungle, mountain loveliness. Basically there.
Wait, does the train still run on those tracks though?
Yes. I'm pretty sure we had to get out of the way for a train because that's where it comes into town.
Yeah.
Because we had to get out of the way once.
To be aware, so you don't have any fried green tomato moments. So you just have to be there. Yes. It is a running. Okay. The train does work. Okay.
So to get hit by a train, you'd have to be really dumb, and you probably deserve it. So just saying that, like it's we are human, I guess.
We err on the side of error. So, what's another place you really liked? I feel like Machu Picchu, train, that area. Yeah. Anything else for you, Natalie, that like really stood out to you?
I mean, it's only so hard because we always get this question like, "Where's your favorite place?"
And it like depends. It depends on, first of all, your mood, right? What am I feeling like right now? You know, am I feeling like a beach or am I feeling like a mountain?
Yeah.
There's just so many beautiful spots. I mean, you're right. It's almost an impossible question. I guess I could rephrase it and say, you know, like earlier, like I said, if somebody was saying, hey, I'm going to go travel in South America, do you have any recommendations?
It was a really amazing place we stayed in. So it's on the coast. It's like at the very top of Ecuador before you get to, it's not that far.
It's in the middle. Well, the way Ecuador curves is kind of like, I wouldn't say near. I mean, it's further north.
Yeah, in the north. But we stayed there for a couple weeks, and it's just beautiful. And it's super fair. It's a really tiny town. I don't know, we just
maybe a couple hundred people at most.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We remember like we got this guy, like we got this guy running this little hostel. I think we paid him $84 for the two of us for 2 weeks. For like literally a place on the beach.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Kind of thing. He actually had decent Wi-Fi, which was surprising because like this town was like smaller than like a lot of the places, and like it was like one of those places like a delivery truck showed up like once a week. So like there's like on Wednesdays we could go to like one of the local like tiendas and actually get chicken.
Oh, nice.
Otherwise it's like vegetarian the rest of the week. kind of thing. So Wednesdays was like chicken days. Those were good
Mhm.
days there. And yeah, I mean, just hung out on the beach.
That's awesome.
I remember we hung out with this lady that had like a animal rescue.
Oh yeah.
There's she tried to talk us into staying, which was really hard. But she worked at like one of the little resorts by there, and like basically she took all her money and would just buy food to like feed all these animals. Like she would get home from work and just cook up like a giant pot of like rice and like bones stock, basically, and just feed all these dogs and chickens and cats.
So you're saying that she's better than all of us. That's what you're letting me know. You met a human that was better than all of us.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, she was amazing. And so we had found her just by like walking on the beach one day, because we would just like walk and come across the craziest things, like this lady with all of these animals on the beach, which is like our paradise because we're both obsessed with animals. So we ended up hanging out with her for the day there and just like met her and talked to her.
Yeah.
And then we went back to the place we were staying that night, and she like shows up and she, I can't remember. I guess she got the guy of our hostel or something. But she was basically like, I don't have anyone to watch my animals tomorrow, and I have to go to work. Like, would you guys be open to doing it? She spoke no English, by the way. Like, this was all
Fabiola.
Yeah. And so we were like, I mean, how can you say no to this adorable, like, sweet woman? But yeah, so the next day we went to her little place and like fed all of the chickens and cats and dogs and just hung out there the entire day.
Yeah.
And then spent like the evening with her. But it was a crazy experience. But it was just like we met her and she decided that she trusted us enough to watch like her entire animal, or maybe she just was like desperate. Either way, I don't know. But that was a really special experience for sure.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Arequipa too. That's an amazing little place. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Just like all of Colca Canyon in Peru. Beautiful.
Arequipa is like a little more in the southern part, and it's near, this Colca Canyon, which is like the second or third deepest canyon in the world.
Wow.
We hiked down it, and it was like so painful. Like, people think, oh, it's hiking down. Like, it's easy. It's not easy to hike down, especially like we didn't particularly prepare well to do a lot of heavy duty hiking, I guess. So it was like I was in running shoes there, but that was
beautiful.
Colca Canyon.
Okay. So that one's worth it. And which country was that in? Peru. Okay. So at what point, because I am definitely a sucker for love in general, whether I admit it or not, I try to, pretend like I'm not, but I really am. So at what point does your love story kind of take a turn?
Like just traveling in general, because I already knew, like, when Mike and I met at Front Page News, I already knew in the very beginning that I was going to marry him. Like there was like no question about it. I just knew from the very beginning. But I think that traveling made me love him more, because it was just, I think one of the things that I really loved was the fact that like he didn't really speak Spanish, but he's like pretty good.
Yeah.
Like he knows words here and there. But like people couldn't communicate with him the way they could communicate with me. But I was able to see that it didn't even matter. Like I was able to see people love him through their eyes without even like being able to communicate with him. So that was always super special. I was just like, whether it was people or animals, like it was just so incredible to see people fall in love with him, even if they couldn't communicate with him. And that was always like super special. And then just also like, we're a good balance, because he's very like level-headed and like I can get very anxious and overwhelmed. And like at the beginning, it was definitely for me, the first few weeks when we were in Peru, it was kind of this like realization, we're doing this and we have no idea when we're going home. And it was culture shock, and it was very overwhelming. And then just the whole entire journey is you can think it's like the greatest thing in the world, and it is. But it's also like so challenging, because you're really just trying to like, you don't know where you're going to sleep, and you're like have this giant backpack on your back, and it's heavy and it's hard, and you're on these like 24-hour bus rides, and sometimes you just want like these comforts. But I think knowing that he always like provided that comfort, it didn't really matter what we were facing that day. It was just always like easier and more fun. And, but yeah.
Yeah. You guys, while on this trip, you got engaged, right?
No, so it was actually not on this trip.
What trip was this on?
Yeah, I actually meant to tell you that. So that was in Cuba. That was actually like after we had come back from South America. We moved to St. Pete, Florida. And then I think like a year into living there or something, we were like, we gotta get out. We gotta go somewhere. So we went to Cuba for like a week. It was really short because he was working in the restaurant.
Yeah, it was really short, but like, like Cuba, like it was cheap flight, quick flight. from St. Pete. And yeah, one of those like people don't talk about going to Cuba, not Americans at least.
Yeah, because they don't sell Coca-Cola.
They don't. They don't. And you can't even use an
I
ATM
know.
there still, probably.
That's crazy.
Like we had to show up with like all our cash that we were going to use and change it.
I don't remember that part.
I don't remember the money part exactly, but we couldn't use
Right.
ATMs there, so we had to show up with all our cash
Ballers.
there. Yeah, no, we got engaged in Cuba. Like we just hanging out again. That's like figuring out like, hey, where are we gonna go? Since we only have a few days. So we were staying in this little town called Vinales, like right in like tobacco country, where they roll like the cigars and
Sweet.
stuff. I remember we met this couple from Spain. And they were like, okay, well, we're gonna like go to this beach tomorrow, Cayo La Visa. We're like, okay, like let's go too, kind of thing. So we were like hanging out with them.
Yeah.
I remember renting all the cars in Cuba. They're all like these like beautiful like 50s cars. Like they all look great. I mean, who knows what's underneath because you can't get the parts.
Right.
So, but it's kind of crazy looking off. But anyways, yeah. So rode to the beach in like this like 57 like Thunderbird.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so
thing,
cool.
hanging out on the beach, and I'd actually been carrying a ring around with me like this entire time. I was considering like like this would probably be like a good place to do it, right?
Yeah.
Everywhere in Cuba we were going, like I had this ring in my pocket. Here, so like we were just at the beach, everyone's hanging out, and like I watched Natalie go off into the water. Kind of thing. And it's like, okay, I'm going to do this right now. And I remember like the girl we were with, I was like, hey, come with me, like here, take some pictures. And she's just kind of like,
because she doesn't speak English.
Yeah.
That's like the whole thing.
Yeah. So I was like, come on, like here, take the camera, take some pictures. And she's just like, what? And I like showed her the ring and she's like, what? So yeah, that was this random girl just took some engagement photos.
But one of the pieces you left out. So
sorry.
We took this boat to this little area, like an island. It's kind of like super touristy or whatever. But the guy we were with, he was like, I read about this place where you can take like a 1 to 2 mile hike and you end up at this super deserted area. Yeah. So we're like, okay, let's do it. Because we're always trying to get away from the crowds.
Yeah.
So we walk through like this jungle and it's just absolutely beautiful. And we get to this beach and it is like the most epic beach that I've ever seen in my life. There was not a single person on this beach with us. So it's the four of us. It was just incredible because it was like this moment of just the four of us. And then this couple that it's kind of like with travel, you connect with people so easily on this different kind of level. And we even invited them to our wedding. They couldn't come because I
think they broke up too.
Yeah,
by the time they came.
Anyway, they were super special.
Yeah. They were there.
You gotta bring in the negative.
Well, that's why I'm part of one. I mean, maybe they would have come together.
But it was just incredible because we were, I think it was so hard to come back and like be in St. Pete, and we loved it, but like we missed that travel aspect. So when we were in Cuba, we were like in our element again. It was really special, incredible. Like it couldn't have been like a more perfect place, but all, full experience. And I was like in the water, having my very like spiritual moment with the water because have a spiritual connection with nature and the beach and all of it.
Whenever we go to the beach, she always has to like before we leave, she always has to go like say bye to the beach before we leave.
Yeah. But it was really special because I was just sitting out there and I like turn around and he's walking like towards the water with his hands behind his back and I could just tell. I mean, like he had that like he has like certain kind of smiles that he has, but he had like a certain kind of one where I didn't like I knew something was coming. I mean, he has his hands on his back, and then he said, I was waiting for the perfect moment, but every moment is perfect with you.
God, Mike, way to up the bar for every man. Oh, and then you said yes, right?
Yes, of course. It was great. It was super special.
I love that. So Cuba will always hold probably a special place with you guys now. I love that. Yeah, I remember seeing some pictures. That lady who didn't speak any English did a great job understanding her job because she got the assignment right. Okay. Those pictures were great. So let me ask you this, because like whenever you are traveling with somebody forever and for long periods of time or short periods of time, honestly, this really at the speed of light level, like you said, Natalie, you really get to know people really quickly. If somebody is clingy, impatient, obnoxious, they don't tip their waiter. You just know things really quickly at a heightened level when you're traveling. So when you guys were traveling together, whether it was the first 10 months, Cuba, the 9 months in Europe, like all these long period of times that you guys have spent together. I mean, do you have moments where you're just like, I don't want to see him another day? And like, when you have those moments, like, do you just go off and do your own thing? Like, I'm super curious because that's a lot of time, like, two of y'all. Like, that's a lot for me to think about.
Yeah, it is a very lot of time. You want to start with that?
Yeah, I mean, we again, like Natalie mentioned it, like we get along really well. Like there's a good balance there. Like, and I mean, I don't think there's ever. I mean, there's probably some frustrating moments here and there, but it's not like I'm gonna go walk off somewhere for a few hours, kind of thing. When you're spending that much time with someone, you can't do that stuff.
Right.
There, like you get along, you get over it. If there's an issue.
And we just don't really, we just have never really had issues. I mean, the only time, because we were always together, like the only time I feel like there was a few times I would go on walks by myself or something, like we were napping. It was really more so, I think that whenever you go that route where you're traveling for an indefinite amount of time, you're either like inseparable or like you end up hating each other. So we were inseparable, and it's always been easy. And I even remember like whenever COVID happened, it's like I remember talking to friends who ended up having to like work at home and be together all the time, and it was really hard for them because they were not used to it. But for us, it was just like so natural. So yeah, I guess we're just lucky that way that it's like we get along.
It's not luck.
Yeah. It's just a partnership, you know? Like,
it's not luck. It's a lot of hard work. Is that what you're saying, Mike?
No, I'm just saying, like, I mean, no.
It's just not luck. Okay.
Yeah, it's not really work for us either. It's not luck and not work, so I don't know how you define that.
Twavel marriage. It's what Bwings of Togever today. Okay, so I read this quote the other day, and I knew I was preparing for this podcast, and I was like, oh, I kind of like this. But the author was anonymous, and it said, find someone who is a home and an adventure all at once. So my question for you is, did you guys have a sense of home with each other when you were traveling? Doesn't matter which time, but whenever you're traveling, because you are away from your family, you didn't have a permanent home and a lot of worldly possessions, I guess you could say. So do you guys kind of provide that sense of home for each other?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. Did you want to talk first?
I was say, I mean, it's I don't know, cliche-ish, but like home is not like a building or a place. It's where I'm with you.
He's so corny. No, I think that it's hard to describe you in one word, but it's definitely, Mike is definitely home. I think it's been something that's carried with us because whenever we left Georgia, it was like I kind of knew we were never going to go back.
Yeah.
And then, we did South America, and then we went to Florida, and then we left again, and then we came to Colorado. And it is hard because you don't have this like sense of community. I feel like we're trying to build that here, but you go somewhere, you start over, like no one, and you have to have that sense of home with that person that you're with in order for it to be like enjoyable and fun and to get through like the challenging parts that come with it. So I think that it makes it easier to think about the future and like what we want to do, like, because we still want to travel more. Like, yeah, we're in the process of buying a house, but like for us, that doesn't mean we're going to live in a house forever. Like it's just a different kind of adventure. We still want to go to Asia.
It's an investment, like, it's more, it's a different thing. Yeah, we're buying a house doesn't mean we're staying there forever.
Right.
Yeah, but I think it's just that if you have like that sense of home with your person, you can tackle anything. Like nothing seems scary anymore because wherever you go, like you have that. So for sure, Mike is home.
I love it. You guys need matching shirts. She's my home. She's my home. Now, I love that. I love that answer for you, or for anybody, honestly. But, this is, I'm not going to lie. It's something that I personally struggle with sometimes. So this is me like asking you for advice, which is the first time I've asked for advice on this podcast. So it's turning into a What are those things? Ask Tammy or ask whatever. I don't know. But anyway, so even though I'm currently domesticated and I do have this sense of being home whenever I'm with my partner of 5.5 years, I definitely feel at home with them. But I still get this sense of like sadness that I'm not some nomad traveling the globe nonstop, like with just my backpack. And then, sometimes I feel a little guilty, for feeling sad because I'm like, I have my person here. Like, what? Like, it's ridiculous that I feel sad that I'm not off traveling the world at all times. So, my question is like, do you two or either one of you ever experience a feeling of, say sadness or just something that now that you're in the more domesticated portion of your life, again, like you said, Mike, just because you're buying a house doesn't mean you're stuck. That's not what I mean. I just meant like because you're not off staying in a different hostel every single night. Like, do you guys feel good about where you're at, or do you still kind of miss it?
There's definitely some days when you miss it. I mean, there's like the little bit of adrenaline adventure, that comes with that. And like, I totally get that guilty feeling. Like, now with like Instagram or whatever, you like all this, you see these amazing places. Like, man, I need to go see some of this shit that I haven't seen yet there. So a little bit here and there, but at the same time, I think we know, like, I mean, the travels aren't over. Like, we're just setting it up differently. We're just doing it a little bit differently now. And that's how I feel about that.
Yeah, I think that whenever we came back the first time, I had a really hard time with it. Like I was always thinking about the future and where we were going to go next, and that was like a really hard like what I had with myself. And then we did it again, and then we came back, and it was super weird because we came to Colorado, and I was like, I'm actually in a place that I don't want to leave. Love it here, and it's incredible. But I think I would say that there's like two things that travel taught me. And one was like to be very present. And the other one was that we have total control of our lives. So it's like, I think that being here, it's made me, I do have really hard days. Sitting in front of a computer 8 hours a day is like, it's not my thing, but I do it because that's part of the journey. And I think that really learned to be present, and that helps me. And then also knowing that we do have the control. Like if we wanted to go and leave tomorrow and go to Asia, like if we wanted to do anything, like I feel like we will do it. Like everything we've wanted to do so far together, we've done it. So I think that if you just keep in mind that like you have the ability to take total control of your life, and you have the confidence in yourself that you're going to do it, it helps you like continue to move forward. Because yeah, for sure it's sad, and I think that it's hard to feel that feeling of like being like that feeling of being alive when you're traveling. Like there's nothing like that, and it's really hard to find in like that day to day. Like you can find it in different ways for sure. But it's just all part of the journey. Like I have full confidence, like we're going to be the people, because, we do want to have kids. And I feel like we're going to be the people that take our kids to Asia. We've always like made this kind of pact with each other. Like we're not going to, I mean, there's a life for everyone, but we're going to do it like a little differently. So I think that's what gets me going is like, I know that not all of life can be like this crazy adventure. Like there's going to be like dull moments, and that's part of the journey. And like sometimes even like those dull days you really appreciate. Like whenever you travel, you like, I remember in like the 10 months in South America, you would have days where you would like crave to just binge Netflix and order a pizza, And so like I think that those days I'm more grateful for now. But now I'm kind of going on a rant. But yeah, I think it's really just live in the present and know that like if you want to change everything tomorrow, you can, no matter what anyone tells you, because people will tell you that you're crazy, but you can do it. And so that's like kind of where I'm at.
I love that. You want to add on, Mike?
No, that was it.
I mean, she crushed that answer. So, and I love the reminder to live in the present, because that is definitely, when I have my quarterly talk with myself of like, am I doing what I want to be doing in life? Like that is on it every time. It's just like living in the present and like, yeah, plan for your future, make plans, work towards it. But at the same time, be aware that I have people that love me right here in the same room with me. I have food, I have water, we can cook together. How great is that? I mean, we have everything we need per se. So I do try to be grateful for my present life, without getting overwhelmed at the travel that I don't have. But I do have, it is hard for me some days. It really is. And it's something I am consciously working on to be more present.
Do you work remotely?
I did for a year, 14 months. And I'm going to tell you this. Number one, my back hurt because my body is not meant to sit in a chair. Like, it's just not. And then people are like, oh, do a standing desk. I tried that. It's just not meant for me. I'm too social. I talk too much. I like to make connections in person too much.
Yeah.
And so I tried it, and I don't think it's for me. I really enjoy going in somewhere and feeling that in-person community. But for anybody who can work remotely, I think it's amazing because you can travel all over the world and work remotely. I totally get that aspect. I get it. It's just right now in my life, it's not for me.
Okay. Yeah, we were just because that is, I guess, one dynamic that's changed a lot for us now because we don't have jobs where we have to be there. So now we can still go somewhere for 2 weeks, without, we know that there's still adventures. Now we can take our work with us, and if it comes to it, we could, probably travel indefinitely if we really wanted to.
Right.
Being able to work, I think that helped.
With your kids, try working remotely, having your kids in the backpack. Yeah, that's great. I can see y'all doing that. You better start a blog.
For sure. I know we need to get on that. But no, I totally get, I think everyone experiences that. Anyone who's traveled, I think that there's no avoiding it. And it's something that I think that, you get the blues every time you come back from a travel. I'll go through a period of just mourning for 2 days after we come back, because I'm just it reminds you that you're in your element and what you're missing out.
Yeah.
Because it's an 8-hour day when you're in, Peru is it feels like a lifetime, but then an 8-hour day, a week here on, working, it's just so fast.
Yeah.
Time is just so different, but it is hard for sure. Definitely. I miss it every single day.
But it does help sometimes to talk about it with somebody, because you're like, okay, we all go through these moments where you're planning, you're in a different phase of life, and it's not just me being all Debbie Downer over here. No offense to anybody named Debbie, but just to kind of bring my mood up a notch, so we're not ending off this podcast on a God, Starla's depressed episode. Let me ask y'all 5 superficial questions, travel related, right? And so they're just fun. No wrong answer here, guys. Okay. So number 1, of outside of the United States, what food? What one meal? It's just that's just, it's in your brain when you're here in the United States. You think about this pupusa in Honduras, or what's that one meal where you just, you love it?
Do we each get to give our own answer?
Please give your own answer. Yes.
Okay. For me, we went to Bosnia. This little place called Mostar, right? And I remember we found this place, and a lot of the food there is just meat. So I remember we ordered this platter. It's meat-tacular. It was $20, and it was literally a tray of all kinds of grilled meats, and it was
cheese
and
pita.
Yeah. And there's just this little place run by some sisters who were just talking shit to each other the whole time. But yeah, it was just, I remember this meat-tacular, and yeah, that was
sounds delicious.
Yeah, Bosnia has the best food. Bosnia was definitely the best food we ever had.
Yeah.
There was also, what was that thing that we had? It was the pastry filled with meat.
Burek.
Oh, burek.
Burek.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things that I dream about. It's a dough that melts in your mouth with just ground beef in it.
Yeah.
Talking dirty.
So good.
That sounds amazing.
And I would actually say, so since she can't take, I gave the answer, I would say pizza in Naples too.
Yeah. Okay. That was
basically
both.
Yes.
Ooh, those both sound delicious.
Yes. We went to the place where Julia Roberts did the Eat, Pray, Love thing. That really is some of the best pizza on earth. Right
that's
there.
Amazing.
Oh,
I love that.
Yes.
Okay, so what about this? Number 2, best beach you've ever been to?
Isla Vista, where we got engaged. That was the most beautiful.
Yeah.
You both agree on that too? God, y'all are like annoyingly alike. I love it. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I love it.
Google it, people. Google this place.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, give us the name of it one more time.
Isla Vista.
In Cuba. Okay. All right. So that's your favorite beach that you've been to. Okay. All right. So whenever you guys are traveling, I think I already know the answer to this just because you guys love beaches, but do you guys have a favorite like cold weather place that you like to visit? I know you're warm weather people, but is there like a place you don't mind layering up because this place is like amazing?
I mean, honestly, I would say somewhere here in Colorado, really.
Yeah, I mean, it does get really cold here. There were some really incredible places in Ecuador that we went. Like we hiked around Cotopaxi. We didn't do like the actual.
Love Cotopaxi.
Yeah.
But we like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so beautiful.
What
What
was
was the other one that we did?
the other one?
Chimborazo.
Chimborazo, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was beautiful.
That's awesome. Oh, okay. All right. So I love that. All right. Number 4. What's your favorite mode of transportation? We're talking planes, bikes, boats, canoes, buses, taxis. Don't tell me an Uber.
Favorite? Tuk-tuk. Yes.
What? I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
A tuk-tuk?
The tuk-tuks, like the little.
Yes.
Those are so great.
Like, here you go. Here's like 47 cents. Drive me somewhere on this, danger mobile, basically. Like,
Yeah, I mean, those are definitely the most fun. I mean, buses, that was the only way we traveled in South America, and I loved it just because there was always an experience.
Yeah.
Like, you never knew what you were going to get. Like, people coming on, selling, like, random stuff, like, or just thinking, like, this is the day that we're going to
Mhm. Okay. Last question, number 5. What is the most, in your opinion, because this is definitely opinion based, what is the most welcoming country you've ever been to as far as the people? Just feeling like, ooh, you just feel so like at home.
I would
You would say Colombia or Bosnia.
Colombia or Bosnia.
Because Colombia, of course, like there's always, I mean, anywhere in Latin America, there's always like the foreigner tax. Like you always kind of feel like you're,
The foreigner
you're gonna
tax.
get like cheated sometimes, no matter where you go. But I think for the most part, like everyone was very welcoming.
Okay.
And then I would say Bosnia because we didn't speak like any of the language,
No.
but people were just so
Yeah, like I remember like this dude on a train tried to give us a ticket, right? Because we didn't like validate our ticket properly when we got in the train. Like we didn't fucking know. Like, and I remember he was like hassling us, and like everyone on the car, in the train car, like all the other passengers, like got on his case and like leave these people alone. Like they paid for their stuff, just like validate their ticket and leave them alone. He's like, okay, fine.
And we had no idea what they were saying.
We had no
knew
idea
that they were sticking up for us. And it was really
Yes. I mean, like grandma, like, some dudes going to work, they all like stood up and like just leave them alone.
That's awesome.
Or whenever we gave like too much money for some bread in like a little shop and she like came after us and gave us our change because we didn't realize it was just stuff like that where everyone was just so kind.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. So you guys have been all over, so outside, so 10 plus 9 plus whatever. I mean, you guys have spent at least 2 years outside of the country, traveling, living your best life, getting engaged in another country. Now you're living in Colorado Springs. Like, I just feel like the world is just kind of amazing for you guys, right? Like, you just seem happy.
We're pretty happy for sure. We're living in Colorado now, so that's like, I mean, it is like, there's so much adventure here. I mean, I'm sure it's like where you're at, in the summertime, like we can take the weekend and go for like a 3 to 4 hour road trip and be in just like National Geographic style level stuff.
I love that. Well, thank you guys for taking the time to tell me some good stuff to, let people know that, hey, you if you want to travel, you can do it. You can save up for it. You can be on a budget. You can get out there and stay hostel to hostel and barter from $4 down to $2. Like, it's a doable thing, right?
Yeah.
For sure. Definitely.
Okay, good. Well,
you can make it happen for sure.
Well, thank you guys for talking to me. You guys rock.
You rock. Thanks for having us. We're just totally honored that you even asked. So thank you.
You guys are badasses. Like, traveling the world, being just total badasses. I love it.
I mean, we can say the same about you. No one's just interviewing you. So maybe we can come on here and interview you one time.
I do.
On your own podcast.
My brother interviewed me once, and it was a lot of fun. And you know what's funny? It was like, it's got like the lowest ratings of all my shows.
No way. Okay. I need to listen to that one. I've listened to tons of your episodes. I've not listened to that one. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna
listen
have
to that one. Give me another listen, okay? Boost my confidence. No, I'm just kidding. I don't need my confidence boosted. It's my head's big enough. But I love you guys. It was great seeing you. I am going to actually hold on. Let me wrap it up and then I'll tell you. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.
All right, thanks so much. All
Thanks.
right.